Welcome to the Global Challenges Forum India Foundation Youth Seminar on FOMO, self-esteem and self-confidence. This is part of an initiative of the 1 million youth leaders that GCF, Global Challenges Forum, and UNITAR are started together. United Nations International Training and Research Institute. They're hoping to develop 1 million youth leaders. Many of you who I hope have joined in today because we are looking at the young for youth leaders. Charu? Mike? Put on your mic. Charu, put on your mic.
I would like to welcome Dr. Ken Ganikan, board member of Global Challenges Forum. Dr. Ken also heads the Integrated Learning Institute and Global Resilience University. Dr. Ken will address you now.
Thank you very much for the warm welcome. Thank you, all of you, for joining. A number of you, in fact, most of you, young people, and that's what this program is all about. This seminar is about developing young people into leaders who will take on the leadership. I grew up in the times where we kept saying, young people are the leaders of tomorrow. But I have begun to see that young people, it should have been at that time, young people were leaders today. So today we should be saying young people should have been leaders yesterday. We wouldn't have found our world in such a mess. So I thank you, young people, for joining. Students, all kinds of persuasions, we welcome you, and we hope that you're going to be finding this next hour challenging, refreshing, equipping for you as you face the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ken, for joining us for today's webinar. Now I would like to introduce Mr. John Samuel, our co-host for this webinar. Mr. Samuel is a former Postmaster General of India and architect behind building and nurturing the brand Speed Post since its inception in 1986. Dr. Samuel?
All right, thank you, Charu. I welcome each and every one of you. In fact, almost 228 people have gathered here today. Young and very bright minds have come here today to join us at this All India Youth Seminar organized by Global Challenges Forum. Global Challenges Forum, the India chapter, is much pleased to organize this youth seminar focusing on your self-confidence, self-esteem, and FOMO. I think these are the three areas where every young person, yet youth leader, is always concerned about it. So we have chosen this very, very important topic today. There are many experts who will be speaking to us on these three aspects. I'm sure you will love it. Global Challenges Forum primarily was started to give exposure to all the young people about the emerging challenges that are in the world today. And right now, the major challenge is healthcare. We are all aware that COVID-19, the unprecedented crisis that is going on, that is challenging us. Who has to give the answer? Is it the government? Is it the scientists? Who has to give such answers when we face such major challenges? Whether it is a healthcare, whether it is education, or it is a climate change. In fact, just yesterday, there was a major climate change program where many senior leaders across the world were meeting together. Now, how can we contribute to the various challenges that are around the world, as youth, what's our role? What's our contribution? Ask not what the nation can do for you, but ask yourself what you can do for the nation. I think that's a very important quote from John F. Kennedy when he called the entire people that everyone should contribute. I think we need to contribute as young people. And our life should be basically the models. Gandhiji, I really love his quote when he says, you are the message. You are the message. Yes, each one, when we live, when we bring answers to these challenges, that's the only way we can really develop this world. So Global Challenges Forum is focused on the SDG goals, Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations. There are 17 of them. You're all aware, starting with no poverty or zero hunger, good health, quality education, gender equality, and so on and so forth, and finally ending with the peace and partnership. We would like to focus upon these 17 areas. Maybe some of them we may not be able to cover every area, but as Global Challenges Forum, we would like to contribute together to the development of solutions in respect of all these 17 identified challenges. Now, what the India chapter, the Global Challenges Forum India chapter, organized a program 2 years back, and in the India International Center, it was our first initiative where Dr. Ken Yanakan, Dr. Sanaya, myself, and Mr. Walter, and the leaders from the United Nations, from the UNITAR, were all together, and many other leaders were together, where we inaugurated the Global Challenges Forum India chapter, and we brought out the vision of raising 1 million young people in the next 10 years. And today is one of the another beginning when we organize such a program over Zoom. And at this time, I welcome each and every one of you to this program. And along with this, I would also like to inform you that on October 1 this year, we will be having a major youth conference. We do hope that we'll be able to organize it in the India International Center in a larger scale. It's probably it will not be a digital program. We do hope, if God willing, we'll be able to do it physically, and if not, digitally. But October 1, we will be having All India Youth Seminar in a larger level in association with the United Nations. And there are many other programs that will come up. And so this Global Challenges Forum would like to bring the young people together. Now, how do we bring it? Maybe you are a youth leader today, and each one reach one. I think that's a message that we have given it to you. You're a leader, and I would always say that when I was in the government, I always used to tell, who is a leader? Leader is not one who will have many followers. A leader is one who will develop more leaders. He is the true leader. If you develop more leaders, then you are a true leader. So when you are here today as a leader, we would like you to develop many more leaders. And in the next 10 years, we want to bring together 1 million vibrant, young, and noble leaders together so that our nation will be transformed to a noble nation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, John. I would like to introduce Dr. Sanaya Nariman again, an educationist, author of several science textbooks, and our very charming co-host of this All India Youth webinar. Dr. Sanaya is the chairperson of the Initiative Peace, Program of Environmental Awareness in Schools, chairperson and educationist on Peer Mediation Program. Dr. Sanaya also co-chaired UNITAR and GCF conference held in Delhi in 2018. Over to you, Dr. Sanaya.
Thank you. Thank you, John. Thank you, Charu. I'll from the very lofty 17 Sustainable Development Goals. I'll come down to this tiny little window in which all the millennials had grown up. This little computer screen, which you sit with and talk with and meet friends across the board all the time. The computer and your little window, your computer window, your phone window that you face is both the solution to a lot of your problems, but it is also the cause of a lot of your problems. When I look around me, I can see a 360-degree world. I can see trees, I can see the sky, I can see a boundary wall. But when you people look into the screen in front, you see only a little face. You see the wall behind. And that's the reductionist world the virtual world has made us into. Therefore, human beings losing touch with nature is one of the big problems that the world faces today, because nature is very healing in its touch. Also, why have we chosen FOMO, self-esteem and self-confidence? These three topics have been basically chosen because when you're living your life in a computer world, you study on it, you talk to your friends through it, and now with the pandemic, God knows when we're going to get back to meeting in normal. Because the second wave is really quite a terrible wave we're having in India. But I'm not trying to make you people, not panicking you. What I'm trying to say is the world that young people have grown up in is the astronaut's helmet world, symbolizing the bubble or the disconnect in which you people have grown up. It is phone-centric, computer-centric, and selfie-centric. Do you see the number of selfie sticks and young people all over the world? Every picnic spot, every tourist spot, every station, every railway station, everyone's going click, click, click with their selfies. It's a world revolving around likes and dislikes. And it's a world which is therefore not got a million shades of gray, it's got only black and white. It's a world also in an extreme instant gratification. I put up a story and 20 people will say, I feel very good. I put up a story and some people will comment negatively on it, and that's the end of my world. So it's an extreme world which you young people have to face, which you have to deal with, which gives you all its problems of self-confidence, because confidence comes from doing real stuff. And when you're self-confident, your self-esteem itself rises. The problem with low self-confidence, it gives you low self-esteem. And when you're feeling low self-esteem, FOMO sets in instantly. I'm not part of this, I'm not part of that. I'm missing out this, I'm missing out that. To help you deal with this, we have a very interesting program set up for you today. We have young people who are going to be talking on their experiences with self-esteem and self-confidence and FOMO. And then we have a team of young Madhyam peer mediators, the Youth Forum, who are going to be talking to you on effective communication. Many other things coming also. I'll now request Kyra. Kyra, are you there? Kyra? Is Kyra there from Bangalore? We have a young lady from Bangalore who is going to talk to us about her problems.
She's there. We need to unmute her.
Charu, Sumit?
Yes, she's unmuted.
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes.
Thank you. Awesome. Hi, everyone. I'm Kyra Joshi, and I'm from Bangalore. And today I wanted to talk about self-confidence, a term we end up hearing so often in our daily life, yet I don't think we completely grasp how important it is. Now, what is self-confidence? Quite literally being confident in one's own self, right? In other words, it means to believe in one's own skills and abilities. I was never a self-confident person. I was bullied a lot when I was extremely small, and that caused me to hide from the spotlight. I refused to go out for any opportunities that I was given because I was so worried that people would pick on me. I was extremely skinny and pale, and I had protruding bunny teeth. And I'm sure all of you can imagine what an easy target that made me for other peers to pick on. Now, I missed out on so many opportunities that were simply handed to me. And now I look back and I regret that so, so much. As a sports person, this really affected my performance in tournaments and matches. And after a point, I realized that life can't continue this way. I cannot continue this way. So I decided that I needed to make some changes in my lifestyle. First of all, I decided that I had to develop a so what attitude. So what if I trip and fall? So what if I mess up? People might laugh about it. They might laugh about it for a month. They might laugh about it for two. But beyond a point, they'll forget about it. No one's going to laugh at something that trivial forever. Time heals everything. And I think that's so, so important. Secondly, I decided that when people saw me, I didn't just want them to see me for my physical appearances. I wanted them to see beyond that. I wanted them to see the fact that I was a budding musician, a sports enthusiast, and a girl who wants to be a leader and not a follower. My father once told me, work until you don't have to introduce yourself anymore. And I realized that that has to be my motto in life because that is so simple but has so much meaning. And I think we just underestimate that quote so, so much. And last but not least, I changed the people I surrounded myself with. I realized that good company is so undervalued. In fact, I, for one, have been told by my parents countless times, they're not good company. I don't think you should hang out with them. But I just waved it away for so long. I thought it was just them being annoying or giving me their weird wisdom from when they were teenagers. But now I realize that it does hold true. Maybe I should just listen to them because they might have some valuable input that might just end up helping me. And I feel like maybe we should all do that. I realized surrounding myself with people who built me up and pushed me to be the best version of myself is so much better than surrounding myself with people who constantly diminish me and make me feel less than. These few changes changed me. And my path to self confidence has been a long, rocky, and tough road. And I'm still continuing it. For those of you starting this journey or not who've not even started it yet, I wish you all the best. And I hope what I said inspired you to begin your journey. Thank you.
Thank you, Kyra. Dr. Moses? Is Dr. Moses there? We have the young, thank you.
Yes, he's
Very good evening, organizers. Thank you very much for the Global Challenges Forum India Youth Seminar. And this has been organized keeping in mind the UN SDGs and youth leadership and the mandate for sustainable goals that we are promoting, one of them being quality education. As part of quality education, we are looking at sustaining youth leadership in different institutions, schools, and bringing together various stakeholders. And today we have with us the Timpani team. And I would like to introduce Srilekha Amjure, who's our next speaker. She's a grade 11 student from Timpani, Visakhapatnam. She's always been a very proactive girl from her childhood, from being the youngest school junior captain to representing the state in national spell bee competitions. She's a very diligent student. She aims to become a civil servant and serve the nations. Srilekha, we look forward to you speaking about self-esteem, FOMO, and self-confidence. Please go ahead.
Thank you, sir. Hope you can hear me. Okay. Imagine that you're curled up in your bed, reading your favorite fictional book, enveloped in a warm blanket. You're so excited about this since you had a long week with busy schedules and unending assignments. To be really honest and precise, you couldn't be more excited than this, reading your favorite book and being in bed. But then, as you turn a page, a notification pops up on your phone, and then you press it with your finger, and then your phone erupts with loud music. and then you see a video showing that your friends are partying, enjoying themselves, and that's it. Boom, a massive wave of FOMO hits you. Good evening, everyone present here, respected dignitaries and my fellow students. I'm Shrilekha Amajur from Timpani School, ICSC, and today I will be speaking about FOMO. FOMO is the acronym for fear of missing out things. It is not a new human experience, but today's society has more channels than ever that fosters this fear. But it necessarily does not have to be notioned as a bad thing, as it can guide us when understood and recognized probably. Probably everyone can relate to situations when we attend a wedding or maybe a family function. During wedding, people are always on their phone and they always try to take so many pictures just for the one perfect pictures that they can post it on their social media like Instagram or Facebook where they look very flawless and beautiful. But they're not realizing that they're missing out the present. They're missing out the present beautiful moments around them. They simply they're simply like this because they have the FOMO of social media, of not meeting the expectations of social media. The fear of missing out things not only disconnects us from people, but it also prevents us from enjoying the present moment, the present life we have. But I believe in a quotation that my father strongly told me that everything in the world that has a positive and a negative side as well. So why not FOMO? FOMO is also be notioned as a positive thing. So I'm thinking of a situation like where FOMO makes youngsters more ambitious. For instance, I consider a scenario like my friend is in a very highly reputed position. Upon self introspection, I tend to question myself what I have accomplished till now, and the fear of staying behind in the race strikes me hard. So, my FOMO can tune me to work more hard and develop myself and achieve something big. So, ladies and gentlemen, we can deal with this FOMO mentality effectively if we can shift our attention and focus from others to ourselves. The only emotion we go through when we are focusing on others is, I am missing out something in my life. But instead, if you focus on yourself, you can count the blessings you have received, the opportunities you have. And most importantly, the question you should not impose on yourself is, how do I get rid of my FOMO? But instead, you must ask yourself, what is my FOMO telling me? So, in last, I would like to say, understand your FOMO and do what makes you happy. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much. Very well said, very well spoken, and it was a very insightful exposition. Next speaker for today is Ritvik Yeduru. He's a senior 12th grade student from Timpani, Visakhapatnam. He participated in the 1 Million Youth Summit in Geneva in Switzerland in 2011, and he will be attending Boston University on a full scholarship in order to achieve his goal of becoming an economist. Ritvik, please go ahead.
Good evening, respected dignitaries, students, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Ritvik Yeduru, a senior from Timpani School, Visakhapatnam, and I'm here to talk about my personal experience with self-esteem. Before we get to that, I'd like to address the common misconception between self-esteem and self-confidence, where both terms are usually used in a synonymous manner. Self-confidence means the confidence we have in particular areas of our life, where self-esteem is how we regard and respect ourselves. Self-esteem refers to the way we value ourselves, whereas self-confidence is the amount of belief we have in our skills and abilities. To summarize, self-esteem has a much wider scope than self-confidence. Now back to my story. As a kid, I grew up in a joint family with 10 cousins. I know that's a lot. You could already gauge from the fact that my household was a competitive one. There wasn't a single day in my life where I wasn't being compared with my cousins. The same goes for them. As kids, it was just a healthy and friendly competition. But as we grew and became teenagers, the real struggle began. Our differences became noticeable. We were able to understand the strengths and weaknesses. But the problem was, if my brother was good in sports and I was good in academics, rather than gaining merit for our strengths, we would be compared against our weaknesses. Though our skills improved, but at what cost? I lost myself through the process. I was not able to concentrate on my strengths, but rather I made myself well-rounded that I truly forgot who I was supposed to be. I was never contented with myself. I always worked harder just to prove to others that I was as good or even better than them. 3 years ago, I couldn't take it anymore. The stress was too much. I broke down crying bitterly, and I was in such a pathetic state. Fortunately, my mother was my savior. She made me realize that everybody is made different and everybody has a unique strength. If you keep comparing yourselves with others, and rather than accepting yourself, you will never be happy. Only you can accept yourself, and only you will know the real you. Such situations, anything hits hard. And those words changed my life. I understood that never to compare myself with others, rather appreciate the small little accomplishments of mine and appreciate other people's accomplishments of it. Never be jealous of others, rather be happy for them and be happy with your own achievements. Those ideals are what led me to have a high level of self-esteem and which aims me to strive to be the better version of myself. So I request all of you to never belittle yourself and always strive to be the best version of yourself. Thank you.
Excellent, Ritvik. As usual, you're always taking it to the next level. So appreciate it. Thank you very much. Very good articulated speech. Very well articulated speech. Sunakaran Vamsi Bardwaja. Now, Sunkaranam is an enthusiastic teenager, ardent believer, an optimistic learner, but a sloppy student. Can you imagine? This is his writing, so I'm just reading it out. He's never afraid to be himself, not afraid of haters who envy to shade failure. And when he grows, his motivation is he wants to be happy. So very exciting. Go ahead.
Good evening. I'm Sunkaran Vamsi Bharadwaja from Timpani Senior Secondary School, and I love my strengths. I love all my strengths and flaws that make me human. We live in a materialistic world, a world blinded by prejudice, guided by bigotry, a society that reduces us to what we wear, how we speak, what we own, and refuses to see us for us. Fear of missing out, lack of self-esteem, lack of self-confidence is a real pandemic among us. I ask but one thing: look beyond what you see your eyes, open your heart, love yourself, acknowledge your strengths, cherish your flaws. Your value is not based upon someone's inability to see your worth. I often ask myself why. Why do we reduce ourselves to one post on Instagram when we are so much more than that? Why do we force ourselves to be someone we are not just to be held at higher esteem? We are so afraid to be ourselves, petrified of societal judgment. I live by one principle in life: haters gonna hate. I couldn't care less for those who share their failure with resentment and discontent towards others. I refuse to live by prejudicial, dogmatic societal norms. I ask, is it society's fault for setting this trap, or is it ours for falling right into it? Thank you and have a great day ahead.
Thank you. That was quite profound. Thank you very much. Next speaker is Sobita Shaini. She's a 10th grader from Timpani Steel City School, Visakhapatnam. She has always been a very energetic girl from her childhood. She served as a junior school captain in the year 2014. She has been a representative of Timpani Steel City School in the National Spell Bee competition. She is a very innovative, sincere, responsible, and hardworking student and a good orator. She aims to become a chartered accountant. Over to you, Shaini.
Self-confidence is a superpower. Once, if you start to believe in yourself, magic starts happening. Good evening. It's my pleasure to introduce myself. I'm Sobita Shaini, 10th grade student at Timpani Steel City School, Visakhapatnam. Self-confidence is a combination of state of mind and being sure of ourselves and our abilities. This essentially doesn't have to be in an arrogant way or in an overconfident manner, but being more realistic and secure of who we are. It is something that needs to be developed internally. It cannot be taught, but it is very important for a healthy and positive lifestyle. It is not so that a confident person will always win and achieve success in life, but a self-confident person will always come over a difficult situation. We must understand that life is not always about winning, but about learning from our mistakes. I just want to share a short story which I have come across a few years back. This story has contributed in lifting up my self-confidence and had a major impact in my life. Once there was a bird. It landed on a branch. The bird rested, enjoying the view from the branch and the protection it offered from dangerous animals. Just as the bird became used to the branch and the support and safety it offered, a strong wind started blowing, and the tree swayed with such intensity that it seemed the branch would snap in half. But the bird was not worried for. It knew two important truths. The first truth, even without the branch, it was able to fly and thus remain safe through the power of its own two wings. The second truth, it also knew that there are many other branches upon which it can rest. I was immensely inspired by the self-confidence and courage that the bird has expressed. I have come to a conclusion that we must utilize our optimism and willingness to face the fears of our life, and it requires us to be positive enough to build our self-confidence. Self-confidence is a prerequisite to success and happiness. We can improve our self-confidence in many ways. Some of them are as follows. Avoid overconfidence. Excess of everything is bad. Surplus amount of confidence is also not beneficial. Overconfidence has become the reason behind the failure of many. People who are experiencing it overlook the other side of the coin and tend to embrace themselves every now and then, which at some point in time proves harmful. Hence, they end up with defeat. The second one is being hyper honest with ourselves. Being hyper honest with ourselves as simple as an everyday way to exercise our confidence. We also face the problem of presumption. This also shakes our self-confidence. For example, I'm going to a debate competition. I knew that the opponent is very strong. I might feel nervous and pre-assume that I'll lose. This can bring negativity and can affect my debate. Another way to boost our self-confidence is to set realistic goals. If we set our goals too high, it can affect our self-confidence. For instance, if I plan to finish a whole course book in a day, it is unrealistic. I might not be able to achieve this goal. A whole course book cannot be learned in a day. I might feel low when I'm unable to achieve this goal. Similarly, if we set our goals too low, it also won't work out for our self-confidence. For example, if I plan to learn only one question per day, this is very less work to be done to score good marks or to complete my course on time. Hence, we should always set realistic goals. Remember, self-confidence cannot be built or boosted in a day. It takes time. So keep working on your self-confidence and achieve your goals slowly and steadily. Thank you.
Thank you, Shiny. Keep shining. Now we have Priyanka Ganti. She's our next speaker. She's a 10th grade student from Timpani Steel City, Visakhapatnam. All of them are from similar school, but in different branches. She's a confident student and an extraordinary person with a blessed heart. She aims to be a computer engineer and she wants to make her parents proud. Priyanka, over to you.
To establish true self-esteem, we must concentrate on our successes and forget about the failures and the negatives in our life. A very good evening to one and all present. My name is G. Priyanka from class 10, representing Timpani Steel City School, Gajubaka, Visakhapatnam. You can't touch it, but it affects how you feel. You can't see it, but it's there when you look at yourself in the mirror. You can't hear it, but it's there every time you talk about yourself. What is this important but mysterious thing? It's your self-esteem. Self-esteem is defined as the confidence in your own merit as an individual. Our self-esteem is instilled us during our youth. There are two types of self-esteem. There is a high self-esteem, which is when you feel good about yourself, and then there is a low self-esteem, which is when you feel bad about yourself. Being constantly criticized by family, friends, and society tends us to slowly strip us of our feelings of self-worth. Our low self-esteem strips us of our self-confidence to make even the smallest of decisions. We think little of ourselves and feel we're not worth a penny and do not deserve to be happy. Improving your self-esteem increases your confidence and is the first step towards finding happiness and a better life. Individuals with truly high self-esteem believe in themselves and continue believing in themselves of regardless what others think of them. Some people feel good about themselves only as long as others support them or approve them. The moment another person criticizes them or withdraws his or her support from them, they not only feel bad about themselves and they may even hate themselves. That would be the first step into low self esteem. When a person acts like that, life can be hurtful most of the time, and they might even find themselves at the mercy of others. When these kind of persons don't have the approval or criticism from the independence of others, the choice of action is limited. Thinking that it would be impossible for them to do things right, they end up being incapable to do things accurately at all. Teenagers' self esteem hardly stay high at all times. Most likely, you will experience those days when you wake up in the morning, you look into the mirror, and there's a huge pimple sitting right on your forehead. Or you ate too much the night before and you feel fat and sluggish. It's okay to feel that once in a while. It is normal. I mean, of course, your self esteem isn't gonna go up when you have a huge pimple on your face, but you can do things to help. Don't focus on the negatives. Try to always think positive. If you see people snickering and staring at you, just ignore them. Know that you're better than them and they're only trying to hurt you to make them feel better about themselves. I figured out that if you worry too much about one particular negative thing, then it will most likely keep happening to you. So try as hard as you can to not worry. Last but not the least, I would like to conclude by saying do things that make you happy and boost your self esteem. Whatever pleases you, go for it. Nobody is perfect. Everybody has their good and bad qualities. So don't try to be perfect. Just be you. The best gift you can give to yourself is a positive self esteem. Thank you.
Thank you, Priyanka. And that was quite an exhortation, good advice to them. Sophie Paul is our next speaker. She's a 15-year-old from Vizag, Andhra Pradesh with very big dreams. She likes to make a little hobby of everything she does, and she's armed with her experiences of life so far, chooses to serve and love the way she has been loved, and craves to change lives through her voice and deeds, seeks to bring strength, hope, and confidence to those who need it from her life to the lives of others. Very good introduction to yourself. Sophie, please go ahead and speak about the topic.
Thank you very much, sir. Confidence isn't believing that you are better than someone else. Rather, it is the power of understanding that you don't have to compare yourself to anyone at all. Good evening, one and all. I am Sophie Paul, studying in the 12th grade in Timpani Senior Secondary School. Today, I will be speaking on the topic self-confidence. Many of us tend to throw around the word confidence, so I would like to give a little insight on it today, and hopefully, as my mission, you find yourself in the word confidence, just as I did. Confidence is defined as the quality of being sure of what you can do or relying on something or someone. But what happens when you put that same trust in yourself and believe that we are enough, that we can do something, and that we are unique? Our world today is filled with people who lack confidence. And unfortunately, this is contagious. As it spreads from one person to another, the question, what if, becomes our very new normal. And in this havoc, we stare at broken mirrors and forget that it is not us who's tainted, but the world's looking glass. I found myself in this trance a few years ago, crying myself to sleep because someone assumed I'm not their definition of beautiful. But one thing I noticed is when someone puts you down, they're not showing you your limits, they're showing you theirs. Confidence is knowing that you have imperfections and still choosing to make a difference with them. It gives birth to strength, like a recipe that requires a standard measurement to work. A lack of it will lead to fear, and too much will lead to arrogance and pride. As someone who has doubted my abilities and thought I would never amount to anything because someone said so, I can guarantee you that it might be hard, but it's not impossible. A person who has confidence is not afraid of admitting their faults because power lies not in always being right, but in being fearless in admitting that you can be wrong. They are not afraid of missing out because they are already thankful for what they have. Trusting in your abilities does sound like a heavy load, especially for perfectionists like me. But there is a light that lies in knowing that you just have to be you. And that light is something that cannot be extinguished, and also one that lights up hopeless darkness in others. Like that one Einstein quote, if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing it's stupid. Similarly, you shouldn't be afraid of perfection because you'll never reach it. It's what made me go from the silent student in the back who stuck to her virtual reality to that one kid who strives to make other people believe, and you as well, that you are #blessed. I used to live a life where I hated myself because I wasn't enough, but I found myself in God, and He found me. A very vulnerable moment in my life was when I was crying on my knees because all the people who I had thought adored me left. And that's the problem with putting your own worth in someone else, because when they leave you, you won't feel worthy anymore. I believed for a certain time that I would never be good enough, and sometimes did believe that the world would be happier without me. God brought me out and was the one who put me into public speaking, and if it weren't for Jesus, I would have never been who I am today. And now, when I see the silent kid in the back, I find a little bit of myself in them, which encourages me to speak up. And of course, my hands still go cold and start sweating when in front of an audience. They are right now. But my heart chases after the fact that I have the ability to speak for what I believe in, and not what the crowd has to say, that I was never forsaken. And now I can give to other people because I have seen God, Jesus, give all that He had to save me. Confident people keep their heads held high and face the world because they are humble enough to value others and take criticism constructively, but value themselves as well. They understand that it's okay to make mistakes and don't just accept other people's responses, but accept themselves first and choose to be the best that they can be with who they are. I've learned to forgive people who hurt me because maybe, just maybe, they didn't love themselves enough and chose to project their insecurities onto me. I come here to ask you, who writes your story? Is it your friends, your family, the lady who told you to scrub your skin because you aren't fair enough, or the man who told you that boys shouldn't cry? Your story is just as important as mine, no matter how we look or live. We are all fearfully and wonderfully made, so we must walk like it, talk like it, and live like it. We must start by admitting that we are flawed, find what makes us happy, improve and accept comments that fix us, and dismiss those that break us. And most importantly, know that you are worthy and loved, someone worth dying for. If you believe yourself and your potential, you've already made it halfway through success. But before planning on changing others, change yourself and the way you think. Don't drop your mic yet. One chapter has ended, but not the book. No matter how many times you've fallen, have confidence to stand up again. I would like to conclude by saying that doubting kills a person more than failure ever will. Instead of being hesitant in your capacity, believe that what you have can push you forward, and your quirks and flaws can one day work to change people and possibly the world. Be your own kind of weird. Though we are fragile, we human beings are like empty canvases. Every experience, good or bad, will make a brushstroke, and with the paintbrush of confidence, the palette of self-esteem, and the blessing of color, anyone and everyone can prove to be an absolute masterpiece. Thank you.
Thank you, Sophie. And over to Ms. Charu.
Charu is there, but I need to introduce now our youth peer mediation team. One of the best ways of solving low self-esteem, low confidence in oneself is to learn how to be an ace communicator. To help you communicate and to be an effective communicator, we have a young lawyers team who are all trained mediators and training others in mediation, now going to teach us how to communicate effectively. You have Amita Sehgal at the lead. She's a busy lawyer and a mediator who trains others in techniques of mediation. With her is Maithali and Sumit, both busy lawyers and also mediators and assistant trainers at mediation training courses. And there's Manika, who is a mediator and lawyer, who's part of our Madhyam Youth Forum. The Madhyam Youth Forum is a mediation team at the Delhi High Court. They train all over India. In fact, I think they train worldwide too. So I'll hand it over now to the Madhyam team.
Thank you, Sanaya ma'am. So Sanaya ma'am is the chairperson of the Madhyam Youth Forum, and we've been fortunate to learn a lot from her. We heard some of you speak today: Kaira, Srilekha, Ritvik, Sukarnam, Sobita, Priyanka, and Sophie, on how you faced issues like low self-confidence, low self-esteem, and how you've gone through the fear of missing out, or FOMO, as you call it. Having differences amongst friends and between brothers and sisters is an inevitable part of growing up in school and college. Why these differences and issues? In school and college, we all come from different backgrounds, different cultures. Our family setups are also not similar. When in school, fights and misunderstandings come up between friends out of jealousies in friendship, competition in studies, relationship issues, group fights, and not talking to each other. We've heard talks between friends like, "I never thought you will become friends with her, who's always said such bad things about me to everyone." When you come to college, you get introduced to a new and independent life. You spend more time together in hostels and PGs. Some of you go to a new city from small towns and are not exposed to that fast city life. There's pressure on you then to be cool, and you end up getting into activities you don't want to, just for the heck of it, and just to be part of that happening social circle. And that's when you face trouble within yourself. Even a brother and sister who are brought up in the same house have fights with each other and arguments with parents. Your personalities are different. Someone may like to speak more, another may be an introvert. The way you think is not identical. Also, what each of you wants starts varying as you grow up. You also face issues like discipline and favoritism with your teachers and professors. We've heard this from many students, like the teacher could have spoken to me about my mistakes in my assignment outside the class instead of blasting me in front of all the students. You also have the fear of not being loved by your friends and your teachers, which creates a lot of insecurities in you. Then, of course, there is immense pressure on you all to perform well, to achieve, and for those of you in professional colleges, to get internships at good places. The response to such differences and fights is your behavior towards the other person becomes harsh or rude. As a reaction, you tend to harm or hurt the person, you stop talking, or the worst response, just start piling up the negative feelings within yourself, either against the person or about yourself. This negative response is what we need to stop or deal with. From our experience as mediators, we'll share with you today some skills of effective communication. We'll also introduce to you the concept of negotiation and its role in getting over your differences in a peaceful and positive way. Before I start, Mithali and Sumit will share with you some of the problems faced by college students.
Before I start, I would like to congratulate our young speakers for overcoming their fears, battling their low self-confidence, and coming out as such confident young people. But did you notice one thing? The one thing in common in all of them was that they learned to believe in themselves. Issues of low confidence, low self-esteem, or fear of missing out has been faced by all of us at some point of time in our lives. Rest assured, we all can overcome these issues with a little help of people around us, and most importantly, by believing in ourselves. We interacted with few young students who talked about what affects their self-confidence, their self-esteem. Here on, we will discuss the issues and most importantly see how effective communication with others and with oneself we can deal with most of the issues, if not all. A young college student, Tejas, spoke to us about his apprehensions and fears a fresher feels when he or she enters college, moving from a very protected, familiar environment of school to face a whole new world of college. So let us hear him out.
Into a lot of commitments that may be demanded of them, but they really don't know how to fulfill them at that point. A lot of achievers surrounding them and their ultimate willingness to reach that level, and them not knowing what should particularly be looked at or what should particularly be undertaken to reach that level. And these are a few of the many things that would haunt them. And this would ultimately be coupled with the fear of interacting with seniors, or the fear of what may possibly transpire if they do something wrong. And these are the things that do haunt a lot of freshies in university, and this is something that has to be taken care of by not only the faculty but also by senior students.
We heard the pressure the young students face when they pursue higher studies in college or university. From being the senior most in schools, now to be the junior most. Facha is what we were termed as when we entered Delhi University. The fresher plus bacha, facha. So now pressure, and even when you enter college, from school you're the topper, you get into the best college. But then when you enter college, all of them there are toppers. So there is a pressure of academics, pressure of gelling with the popular group or cool group, as Amita said, or building a rapport with your seniors, teachers. There's so much to handle. And above all, you have to live up to your parents' expectations as well. Now, when you enter college, you come from different parts of countries with different dressing sense, with different way of speaking, different backgrounds. Now, many a times one is teased for such things. So how do you deal with such a situation? Now, at this point, have faith in yourself. Hang in there, abide your time. Your time will come to prove yourself. Don't react to what people say. Respond. And how do you respond? You respond with your performances and your achievements. Let your performances speak for you. Focus on your strength. Now, what is your strength? This is where training your mind, your body, and equipping yourself with the right skills, communication skills, interaction skills, with a desire to achieve goals help. Now, your goals could be academic excellence, or it could be doing well in sports, arts, preparing for civil services, many more. We will be discussing with you these skill sets which can make you go forward and achieve your goals. So set yourself a goal and go for it.
In fact, Mithali, I agree with you on one thing, in fact, all of it, but yes, one thing in particular, where you said how different style of dressing can actually affect in certain ways, create perceptions in the mind of the people. How wearing branded clothes can create a pressure on the peers to basically affect their self-esteem or self-confidence. How in some cultures, say for example, wearing of a stud in the ear is a common thing, but how it can actually affect your perception about you in the minds of others. In the next video, this is what this youngster talks about. Let us see.
So this incident took place for me when I was in my final year of my undergraduate degree of business administration. So it was the first job interview of my life. And during the job interview, this person, the employer of the firm who came to interview me and the rest of the students, I went first. And in my resume CV, there was a bit of a clerical typing error. And besides that, the person who was interviewing me judged me and demeaned me on the basis of that small error, and because of a personal tradition of wearing an ornament since many years, which I follow. He judged me on that and demeaned me on that, and he did not interview me or ask me what my skills are, for how good is my academics, how well an orator I might be, how well can I deal with clients, or anything that would be related to the role. Instead, he put me down with his own narrow mindset and made me feel very bad and made me lose a lot of self-confidence. It made me feel I was the one lacking something in me.
So did you see when this young person talked about his issue, how just wearing a ear stud created a perception in the mind of the interviewer, who instead of asking him about his skills, which would be useful for the job, started focusing on the ear stud he was wearing, how he developed a perception. And we have youngsters from across the country here who come from different cultures, different background, where, and you would know this, that wearing of a stud is very common in certain places in Rajasthan, like this person also talked about, where it was part of his culture, but this could not be understood by the interviewer. Now, this is something which we need to discuss further, and which we will be, where Amita and Manika would be speaking about it.
Rightly said, Sumit, when you said the perception about others. Now here, even perception, how we perceive about ourselves is important, which we need to look into. Now, we had an interaction with a young student, Shashwat, who shared with us how peer pressure affects your self-esteem and self-confidence. He also told us that the opportunities which are being missed in pandemic, how is that affecting them? So let us hear him out.
Issues that exist in general could be issues that affect mental health more often than not, like issues with your self-esteem. For example, you see someone do something better than you. Now, lacking the right state of mind would lead a person to question themselves and their ability to function properly in any manner, because that leads to questioning of why you can't do that thing as well as the other person. And that's a basic issue. Another issue that in general affects people, especially law students for that matter, would be a lack of a proper mentorship. Now, this becomes a real issue because, even as has been highlighted recently with the Supreme Court and the PCI, these issues are a real problem because the legal profession is one where you need to have some kind of a practical experience with proper mentorship being given to you. Now, if you lack this kind of mentorship at your internships and your university, then at the end of the day, your legal education becomes a lost cause. So this is a real issue that impacts people in general. Another issue could be, due to the current pandemic, the lack of opportunities that is present for law students in the country as well. This is a major issue because this is impacting people's ability to even get the kind of practical experience that would be required for their profession.
We heard Shashwat raising an extremely important issue which a lot of young people face. That is pressure of performing. There will always be someone who performs better than you. And what do? You start questioning your own abilities. We all have gone through this stage, and believe me, this is there to stay with you throughout your life. We get into this trap of constantly comparing ourselves, of being compared with others, like Ritvik said, and thus losing our self-confidence. Now, in such a situation, we need to identify and challenge our strengths so that we can perform better, looking at the positive qualities of other person who are we being compared with. Some of us find it difficult to identify the same or talk about it. What do we need to do now? We need to shift our focus from the negatives to the positives. So if you see someone performing better than you, don't get bogged down. Don't compare yourself with others. Believe in your abilities. As it is said, first love is self-love. So love yourself. Don't try to be someone else. We all are different and we all have our own strengths. So focus on that. Shashwat also mentioned about loss of opportunities of internships and mentorships during pandemic. Now this, being a law student, he mentioned about law, but I think it is for other professions as well. pandemic is an unforeseen event which no one of us had anticipated. There are positives also. Let's try to look at the brighter side. Though human contact is lacking, but one is getting a chance to sit in one state and in turn in another state without any logistical issues. Another positive side is that we all have learned, irrespective of our ages, to use so many online platforms for achieving your goals of internship, mentorships, and other goals. So where is the shift? The shift is not to complain, not to look at the negatives, but become problem solvers, which is the key to success. We will be discussing with you how effective communication with your friends, your family, your teachers, your seniors, and most importantly, with your own self, gives you the strength to interact with confidence and help you achieve your goals.
In fact, Mithali, to become problem solvers, of course, there are a lot of other techniques will be discussed with Amita and Manika. But one very interesting thing is some very basic thing is your communication, the way you communicate. Sometimes lack of communication can actually create differences between two very good friends. And sometimes just simple, straightforward communication can actually bring them back together. And that is exactly what has happened in the next video we are going to share with you.
College, and we had a group of 4 friends, and we used to went to college every day together. So suddenly we stopped talking to each other just because one of our friend told me about Tanya, that she was saying something bad about you. So we didn't talk for 4 months, and after 4 months Tanya took initiative to clarify the issue. So yeah, after 4 months, I just contacted her that why you are not talking to me. So she told that she had spoken something bad about me and I had spoken something bad about her. So just because of this, misunderstandings were created. So due to our communication, we were able to clarify the issue.
So did you listen to them? How interesting. How one friend, a common friend, speaks to one of them, two best friends, and creates differences amongst them. How just by telling that, listen, the other person has been speaking bad about you, was believed because there was a lack of communication between the two best friends. And how when one of them took the initiative and took the route of simple, straightforward communication, how this effective communication created the difference. So effective communication, my friends, is the key. Of course, we will be discussing that in detail, but before that, I would want Amita to throw some light on this.
Many of you may have gone through similar or other experiences which have a very negative effect on our mind, on our efficiency to work, and on our ability to maintain relationships in life, which is all very important. What is the means through which we convey our thoughts and our ideas to the other person or express ourselves? By talking or communicating. Is it not equally necessary that we convey our thoughts and our feelings in an open way, where we are rightly understood and give equal importance to what the other person feels and has to say to us? Manika, what is the kind of communication that we need to do when we are trying to resolve a fight with a friend?
The communication that we should have in such situations where we are trying to resolve a fight or overcome our negative emotions is effective communication. An exchange of thoughts and words between two persons where they listen to each other's concern and find ways to meet everyone's needs to the extent possible is when we say we are communicating effectively. And when two persons talk to each other to arrive at mutual benefits is what we call negotiation. You know, we negotiate in our daily lives. Who do we negotiate with? We negotiate with our parents, our siblings, friends, bosses, and even employees. For example, children negotiate with their parents as to how late they could stay up or how much TV could they get to watch. Brothers, sisters, and friends negotiate among themselves as to which vacation or weekend excursion they would go to. Amita, could you just give us some tips on effective way of communication when one fights with their own brothers, sisters, and friends?
Monica, studies have shown that communication consists of 55% of our body language, 38% attitude, and only 7% spoken words. The most important being body language, our facial expressions when we are talking, the way we sit, the attention that we give to the person. Like I'm having a misunderstanding with a friend and I've come to clear it out. By looking up and avoiding eye contact, I say, I don't have a problem with you. Will you believe my words? My words say I don't have a problem with you, but my gestures convey louder than words. I've made up my mind. I don't care about you. Again, like you're sitting with a friend to clear out some problem, and while you're speaking, you're scrolling down your phone like this. But you're saying, my ears are with you, I'm listening. Will my words inspire any confidence? It shows my disinterest in you and in listening to your problem. Again, like you're sitting cross-armed while you're talking to your teacher or your parent. It shows that you're sitting with a closed mind. What is also necessary is to have the right attitude. Like you fought with a friend and you want to make up. One way is you go and say, you just say with a frown, tell me what you want to say. And the second way is you say, let's talk to each other to clear the misunderstanding. Your second way will surely make the friend clear the misunderstanding in a positive way. To look for good in not such a pleasant situation is when you carry a positive attitude with you. We all have strengths and weaknesses. Just need to recognize them and work on the weaknesses. But first, we need to be self-aware and talk to ourselves to understand this. Some of you may be very good in speaking, but not so good in analytical skills. Focus on the activities that highlight your strength. This will do wonders to your self-confidence. Don't get bogged down by wasting your energies in mind thinking, why am I not able to do this? She's so good at doing this. Just work on it. To also remember that our strengths are much more about the marks that we score or the degrees that we get. It's the inner strength that we build which makes us confident and keeps our morale high. Another very important facet of effective communication is listen actively to the person with empathy and patience. When we listen to someone with a preconceived thought and notion, we listen half-heartedly. Like you're talking to your teacher or professor about some issue, you may have this fixed thought in mind. This teacher has always been unreasonable. Your mind will not let you effectively listen to what the teacher has to say, even if it's in your interest. Listen with empathy. Let's learn to listen from our heart and not just from our ears. Don't judge or probe a friend who's trying to clear out a fight with you. When a friend is sharing some problem, don't pass statements like, when I was in that team, I dealt with it in this way. Being kind and compassionate in any situation gives you a beautiful feeling, which is not comparable to any material thing in this world. Another very important part of resolving issues is you have to separate the person from the problem. When you're sorting out a fight, focus on the issue which caused the fight and not on the person. Let me give an illustration. I'm talking to Monica about a weekend plan.
Amita, I want to have coffee from this new cafe this weekend.
Manika, but I want to watch this movie which has come out yesterday. It has my favorite hero.
Amita, why do you just have to go against with what I'm saying? Why can't you just agree with me ever? You always do the opposite of what I want.
So what do? We mostly want to make the other person understand or just make the other person agree with us. In case of any disagreement, we are quick to make a personal attack on the person. Like Manika made a judgment for me that I have an opposing nature. I will say something against her too as a reaction. But we are not talking about the problem, which is that I want to go for a movie and Manika wants to go for a coffee. This attitude will only spoil our friendship over the small issue. But if we talk in a manner where we are giving equal importance to each other's interest, we may reach a middle path. So instead, if Manika says,
Amita, we enjoy each other's company more. Let's work out a plan where both of us can enjoy. We can go for a movie this time, but next weekend, come with me to the cafe, please.
That sounds good, Manika. Thanks. So this time we talk in a positive manner and most importantly, trying to address the problem, the issue between us. The attitude is also that we value our friendship. So now Manika and I will take care of each other's wishes and interests. The fight is solved, our friendship is secure, and we could agree on taking care of each other's wishes in a mutual way. Another challenge that we face while communicating is managing mind chatter. The term sounds a little tough, but we all go through it. Let's start with this illustration again. Two boys who are friends go to a restaurant. While they are talking to each other, they'll notice everything around, the ambience, the menu, even the weather outside. In another situation, a boy and a girl who are in a relationship go to a restaurant. They will be so engrossed in talking to each other that their attention is not diverted to anything around. You see the difference? Some of you also may have experienced that while you're working on one project, your mind starts traveling how you will meet the deadline for the next one. It happens with all of us. When you're trying to concentrate or listen or work on something attentively, the mind distracts you towards all the peripheral things in the surroundings. It's not simple, but the more we are conscious of it, we'll be able to control our minds better. So these are some of the tips or some of the ways how we can interact with others. Manika, is it not equally important to talk to yourself?
Yes, Amita. It is important in this fast-moving world to sit down with oneself and talk. Breathe. Put down your thoughts, which develops a sense of self-awareness regarding who you are. Having a conversation with oneself is called self-reflection. Reflecting within oneself enables us to move from just experiencing into understanding. It helps us to become the commander of our own thoughts by making us more mindful and to make us live more purposefully. It helps us improve our relationships by bringing clarity of thoughts, helps us in decision-making, understanding our values, and even makes us sleep better. Let's assess our life situation as we zoom out the problems that we are facing and help us reach the root cause. Once we find the root cause, we ensure that we orient our actions in a manner which can help us reach a solution, thereby helping us move forward effectively. Whenever we are feeling any of the negative emotions such as sadness, anger, anxiety, we must ask ourselves the following questions. How and why did this thought arise? What is the reason for me to feel this way? What might be a deeper underlying cause behind that feeling? When I experience these sensations, how do I feel about my situation? Having a dialogue with oneself is not just a one-time tick-off, but a long-term process. You do it over time by creating a routine for self-reflection, without which we tend to live unconsciously and become reactive to others and judgmental towards our own selves. It is thus essential to keep repeating this process for ensuring a lasting behavioral change. We just don't need reminders for our daily chores and tasks, but also for our feelings to bring self-awareness. It often helps us to remind us, what do we do well? What is it that we enjoy? What are we grateful for? What can we improve on? Asking the right questions is very important. Equally important is not to jump to easy answers, but to make time to sit down and think at a deeper level. We must have that conversation with ourselves that we generally keep avoiding. After having understood what self-reflection means and how it is practiced, let us examine the benefits arising out of it. In an upsetting situation, pondering over your own thoughts helps us to space out our emotions like anger and disappointment from our very responses and reactions to it. We begin to think how to react differently to the same annoying situation. For example, you have a friend who's into a habit of tapping her fingers on the table, and you're having a serious conversation with your friend. Now, this tapping makes you angry and you yell at your friend. But when you actually reflect on it, you may realize that that may be a way of relaxing for your friend, or for all you know, the friend might have a fidgeting disorder. Thus, it helps us to act more patiently by making us step into the shoes of the other person before judging him or her. Last but not the least, it also helps us understand the importance and power of silence in communication and makes us realize when it is best to be silent in a fight or disagreement and how to create that space between us and our instant reactions like anger, jealousy, and frustrations.
So we've just discussed with you the importance of listening with all your understanding and concentration. There are many other techniques of listening. We will deal with them when we take a 3-day session with you. Before we sign off, I would just like to say, don't let any pressure of negative feelings take a toll over your mind or body. Face it, deal with it, talk about it to a friend, or discuss it with your parent or teacher. Don't build any fears of being judged. I'll share with you this beautiful note penned down by some professionals met for a school reunion. The topper of the class is a happy homemaker. Backbencher of the lot is an entrepreneur. The flamboyant fashionista became a dreaded lawyer. Often ignored Joe turned a well-known writer. The one who failed in math paper is a fashion designer. And the one who often got to stand outside the class is a respected army officer. The reunion taught me how people come with many layers and told me why we should never judge a book by its cover. Each child out there has a different success story. Thank you.
Thank you, Amita. And thank you to the Madhyam Youth Forum. That was a wonderful session on effective communication. We started off with our speakers from Bangalore, went down further south to Visakhapatnam, and now we come back up. Of course, our Madhyam team is very much Delhi, but now we come back up to young people who will speak to us from the National Capital Region. We'll start with Sia, who's come in from a small town into a big metropolitan city, and she'll tell us about her experiences. Sia?
Hi, everyone. I hope you all can hear me clearly. So, hi, everyone. My name is Sia Rahul Tair, and this is my story. As a young, egoistic Sia shifted from her small hometown Hisar to the city, she was instantly humbled by large murmuring crowds that seemed so different from her usual company, and learned for the very first time about beauty standards. When the very first online store opened in India in 2012, she was intrigued to see that all the models were connected by one distinct feature: their slimness. And when she skimmed over what seemed like an extremely unfair plus size section, she realized she could never be a model. You had to be slim, and if not, you had to have a doll face with clear skin and perfect teeth. From the first time she saw a Fair and Lovely ad, or the first time she realized she now had body hair, each change in her body seemed an epic change and extremely unnatural. Now, let me be real with you. I used to be crazy about weight loss. I used to be affected by all the things I tell people not to be affected by. Until one day, I got angry. I got angry that my friends were too short, but I was too tall. I got angry that for some reason, I was either too thin or too fat, and I realized that the world was a cruel place. So I distanced myself. I distanced myself from all the people who told me I wasn't good enough. And I decided to tell myself that I was good enough, smart enough, and beautiful enough. That I was enough. I started a campaign expecting no more than 10 people to join in, and within 40 minutes had over 100 people on a WhatsApp group. I didn't even know some of them. It was overwhelming and at the same time really sad. In trying to re-image beauty for the world, I found my happy place, surrounded by the people I love, as a tigress wearing her stretch marks with pride. I know that you're all here today because you have a little bit of I want to save the world in you. And I just want you to know that it's okay if you save just one person, and it's okay if that one person is yourself. Nobody's been there for me like me. Nobody's trusted me more than me, and nobody knows the small things that make me happy like me. The follow account I didn't know well enough to run behind, the snide comments on my clothing and body because they weren't attractive enough, the weird Hindi playlists that make everyone cringe, or even just the weird movements that I call dancing. I love them all. I finally found myself and my soulmate in me and the work I do. Just a gentle reminder, you are enough.
That was wonderful, Sia. Thank you. Thank you. We will now move to Drishti. Drishti's also had problems with her weight, in fact, an extreme problem. Drishti, I'll hand it over to you.
Yeah, hi. Hi, everyone. Good evening. I want all of you to close your eyes and just think, how many of you think twice before putting any kind of clothing on? Are my legs looking too big? Is this little or a lot of cleavage? Are my arms looking too flabby? Will that tiny scar ruin my day? Is my stomach looking too big? These are some of the questions which pop into our heads daily. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and my non-binary pals. I'm Drishti Arora, and today I'll be speaking about self-confidence. Self-confidence, what is this hyphenated word that everyone seems to be talking about on every platform? It is a feeling of trust in one's abilities, qualities, and judgment. It is indeed very easy for anyone to just say you need to be more confident, or self-confidence is the best outfit, or own it. However, it is not that easy to just be confident, especially when the standards of beauty have been set too high. Our favorite Bollywood movies like Kal Ho Na Ho, which promotes that girls look prettier without glasses, or Kuch Kuch Hota Hai, in which the guy only falls for the girl when she starts wearing makeup and saris. Or even Ye Jawani Hai Diwani, in which Naina becomes the right girl only after taking off her glasses and filling in her brows. Movies like Aisha, Student of the Year, Main Hoon Na, and many others are just the beginning of the unrealistic beauty standards that have been set. No one tells you that these so-called perfect people have gotten makeup done by professionals, hair done by top stylists, lighting worth hundreds of dollars, and 10 to 15 hours of editing and retouching. Love yourselves. This is something that we have read and seen everywhere, but how do we go about it? I myself have been a victim of body shaming. I was 13 when a 46-year-old guy came up to me and told me that I'm too huge for my age. Sometimes indirect body shaming, like friends calling you a whale or moti or supri dandi, can scar you forever. I was a patient of anorexia nervosa, which led to severe weight loss. I lost like 35 kilograms in 2 months, and my friends and the people around me used to call me names like alien or Marches ki Tidi, instead of understanding my problem or supporting me. It took me 2 years to recover, but your health problems never leave you. One thing which I learned was that confidence comes from within. It can't be put in you by other people hyping you up or telling you to be confident. I used to hate going out because I never really found the right clothes. Every piece of clothing made my legs look too big, my chest too big, my stomach too small, my head too small, my arms too big. Now, I can't say that I'm 100% confident, but I can surely wear whatever I want without my friends or parents telling me that I look fat in the dress that I'm wearing. I myself use filters and ask all my friends before posting anything. And I know that I need to work on loving myself. All of us have a long way ahead of us in terms of body positivity, self confidence, or loving yourself. But we can all start with not comparing ourselves to others, taking care of ourselves, practicing self compassion, embracing self doubt, and treating yourself like you would treat your best friend. We need to start being nice to ourselves. Your and my body are beautiful. I know this small speech won't give you a boost of self confidence, but I can at least hope that you will consider giving your body a try. Trust me, once you start embracing it, you'll be more open to trying new things. You'll perform better, you'll be more resilient, you'll have better relationships. Promise not me, but yourself that you are the most amazing and beautiful person to exist. You know it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Krishti. That was really very good. We next have a young lady who had real problems with confidence because she was a very shy person, Shristi. Shristi, are you there?
Hi, everybody. I'm here. Good evening. My name is Srishti Bagaria. I am a 25-year-old budding economist from Gurgaon. Now, for as long as I can remember, I've had low self-confidence. Be it, we had oral exams, and we had these personal development classes as a part of my academic curriculum in school. And my heart used to start racing immediately, just by the mere thought that, I'll have to go and speak up. We had these theater acts, but I was too afraid. And, I was very afraid to face an audience, be it my best friends, my closest friends in school, or my batchmates in general. It had a significant impact on me, definitely, but I always assumed that it is something that would go away with age. But being 25, I can definitely tell you that it's not going to fade away with age if you decide not to. For me, it got worse with age, and I became very quiet. I became shy and more hesitant to speak. And to top it all off, I started avoiding things altogether. So self-confidence means different to different people. I can define it as, being free from any self-doubt before I take up any action. And regardless of the challenges I face, I'm confident. I believe in myself that I can achieve anything and everything. It is much more than just facing a large audience and being able to demonstrate your abilities. It can be just as simple as writing a professional email when you're in office. And I achieved it when I stopped comparing myself with with my friends, with others, with my colleagues in general, and treated it as a journey and not something that I have to achieve this. It's an end point. I have to achieve this no matter what comes. So it is a journey, and I took it as one, and I can confidently tell you that it's a beautiful journey when one starts. So a few things that helped me out was first having a vision. So when I decided in 12th that I wanted to become an economist, that's something that I took it up. This is something I will become no matter what comes. That gave me a newfound confidence. I was much more confident when I had a vision in my life, when I had something that, this is where you are. I was not lost. I was not confused at that time. So having a vision really boosted my confidence. And I started celebrating, my small victories, something that I thought that I couldn't do in the next 3 months, and I achieved it 3 months later. It really boosts up your confidence. And I started celebrating those moments, and it really helped me. And the most important thing that helped me was clearing my mind of all the negative thoughts. It just, you just focus on your positive, and it really helps you. I remember in school, that was the most difficult time, when you're shy, you're hesitant to speak, and you're in a bunch. I was in DPS. We had 45 students in one class. It was really difficult when we had to, the teacher started asking us questions. I would always repeat in my, mind that please don't pick me. I do not want to answer this question. Please don't pick me. And somehow, I don't know, actions speak louder than, my things. And the teacher somehow always, she used to pick me. She knew that I knew the answer. That was her way of building confidence in me. Definitely, we need to have all our positive thoughts together. Now, having struggled with low self-confidence my entire life, when I landed up with my first job at 24, I saw it as a fresh start, a clean slate. I began presenting my ideas and my points of view to my manager, to my bosses, which were not only welcomed, but it was also appreciated. I began as an ordinary employee, and boom, 5 months later, I rose to a position of a leader. I was there training people, and my manager appreciated me. She said that this is the youngest trainer we have ever seen. So that gave me a new confidence that I can achieve everything. So I see it as a static measure. It's not something which you are going to have every day and all day. There can be ups and downs, but yes, once you have that confidence, there is no turning back. So gaining self-confidence is completely personal and internal decision. You have to take it. So no matter what I say, it might motivate you, but it's completely up to you that when you want to start this beautiful journey of yours. And if I can achieve it at 24, I can confidently say that, age is no bar. You can achieve it whenever you want it and whenever you decide to. It took some time for me to gain confidence, and I hope you gain yours too soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Shrishti. That was very good. Thank you, Shrishti. Our next speaker is a very interesting person with a very wide platform of achievements. Dr. Moses in Bangalore is an international education management expert. He is managing the baccalaureate schools and developing collaborations between the IB schools and foreign universities. He is the Academic Dean and Associate Director of the Global Challenges Forum Foundation, India. And therefore, he will speak to you not only about, you can see he's a very, very futuristic man. He's speaking to you about the next generation, not just the people who come speaking, but younger than them, who are waiting in the wings to take over the world. Moses was earlier Deputy Director of the Indus Trust and started and managed the Indus International Schools. Moses, I'll give you the platform. Let's hear what you have to say about the future.
Very good evening. Thank you, Dr. Sanaya Nariman. My mentors and friends and colleagues, Dr. Ken Gnanakan, Mr. John Samuel, Ms. Charu Mutreja, Ms. Gurit Sethi, and of course, our panel of peer mediators who have joined us today, youth speakers who spoke so well so far, and those who are participating, teachers, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, today's conference is all about self-esteem and self-confidence. And as you know, we all articulate in a language. So when we're looking at transitioning from one generation to another, we are looking at a transitioning now in the age of tomorrow. So we are moving from the age of the Anthropocene to the age of the Novacene. What is the Anthropocene? What is Novacene? Homework for you. But where we are going to now look at communicating with children who are 2 and 3 and 5, and with machines as intelligent as robots who can talk to each other and talk to you. Not just coding, it's about actual interaction with machines in more ways than you can imagine, including artificial emotional intelligence. And in the age of tomorrow, we all need to communicate with each other, and that's why English as a language is so important. There is a vocabulary for life, yes. The language of syllabus and the language of life is totally different. So you may be endowed with intelligence and intellect, with subject expertise. All kinds of intelligent conversations and communications on different phraseology of life is good enough for now. But in the future, you're going to need more than that. You need to look at the language of life. What is this language for life? Language of life. The gift of language has been used by generations, and different generational changes caused a paradigm shift in the thinking and cultural patterns, almost like memes, a virus transfer from one generation to another. So communication patterns of generations evolved over the years, only from native tongues to now a more proficient language like English, which helps us bridge barriers in very effective ways. So I want to leave you with 2 thoughts. We are moving from the Anthropocene to the Novocene. We have to address that through language and by interacting with intergenerational changes, with different youth, with different adult systems, and we are coming into a workplace which is going to be largely dominated by the innovative revolution of artificial intelligence. So we have moved from the industrial age to the innovative age. It is critical now to articulate and express ideas with a spiritual awakening. Without that, then we are just looking at the language of the curriculum and syllabus and subject expertise in a career, which is good, but not good enough. That is why the language for life is a must in the Novocene. The importance of self-esteem and self-actualization is of paramount importance to live in today's generation. And when we are talking about bridging generational gaps today, the youth speakers are from the millennial generation. So are most of us who are audiences. So millennials are known as Generation Y and Gen X. Now, what is this millennial generation? Stop and think about it. They are average people from different age groups. Some are above average people, but there are a variety of traits that this generation exhibits. They value meaningful motivation. They challenge the hierarchy status quo. They place a lot of importance on relationships with superiors. They are intuitive with knowledge of technology, open and adaptive to change, rather passionate about learning. They're open and receptive to feedback and recognition. They're free thinking and creative and value social interactions in the workplace. But now that being said, that's you and me and the speakers today. But we are going to hone a next generation, which is already growing up in the Novocene. The term alpha must ring a bell with you. When it comes to A to Z, you know, the alpha and omega, you talk about generation alpha now, because we are going back in circles, back to this drawing board. It refers to a group of individuals born between 2010 and 225. This is the generation after Gen Z. So the generation alpha prefers text and not human communication. They are the most globally connected generation of children due to technology and internet. They're digital natives, technology-minded and tech-savvy. They grow up with Alexa, Siri, and mobile apps as toys during childhood. There are already 2 billion such alpha kids in the world. They will arguably be the most economically successful generation. Now, we can use language to do good and we can use language to do evil. It is very important to understand that life is in the tongue, and the tongue has the power of life and death. And it is so important as we give and birth life into the minds and infuse passion in the minds of our youth with the right kind of words, say the right thing, we are polite, and we are astute enough to understand what to say and what not to say. That being said, we are transitioning from one era to the other, and we have to keep abreast with changing times. So thank you for your intelligence and your intellect, and really appreciate your insight. All the youth speakers spoke very well. Thank you, organizers, for organizing this excellent program. And we look forward to you learning the language of life. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Moses. It's great to hear about alpha kids, not only the millennials now who got getting taken over by another lot of people. We next have a young lady who will speak to us from the NCR. No, sorry. We have a tall, lanky, thin, young gentleman who will speak to us from the NCR. Arnav, please. Arnav, you're on next. He's had some fairly horrific problems with body type, but he's doing well now. Arnav, you're on next.
Hello, everyone. My name is Arnav Sahani, and this is my journey with self-confidence. Every year that passed, I would suffer from an injury. I have had 6 fractures these past 16 years of my life. And when I started to indulge in competitive sports, I had always been praised for my height, which led me to begin to play basketball. However, as much as being tall was an advantage, my weak structure was a disadvantage. For a normal person to have my height and reach would be great for playing basketball, but for me, it was not. This was due to the lack of muscles and protective skin on my body. This property was part of my genes, as my mother and her mother had a similar shortcoming in protective skin. I became known all over school as the fracture boy. My friends would make jokes about my skeleton-like body. Since one could trace my bones with just their fingers, people always assumed that I hardly ate, which was obviously not true. With this, some people started to make sharp comments like telling the biology teacher to use me as a skeleton to teach the skeletal system chapter. Soon, I also began to participate in the jokes, accepting the harsh truth. But I realized later that my self-confidence was just plummeting. By letting my body be made fun of, I was making it worse for myself. So, as COVID-19 overtook the world, causing everyone to stay at home, I grabbed the opportunity to work on myself. Our bodies change our minds change our behavior, and our behavior changes outcomes. Keeping this in mind, I knew what had to be done. I joined a gym close to my house. I went regularly and trained hard. I knew that by pushing my limits, I could do whatever I wanted. Having an endomorph body, I had a high metabolism, which made it very difficult for me to gain weight. Every time I missed a portion of my diet, I would lose a lot of progress. There were many times when I questioned the point of all the hard work, but I reminded myself of the feeling of regret I used to feel every single time I was escorted to the doctor. By properly managing my studies, my workouts, and my food habits, I have been successful in gaining muscle mass and body weight. Though the process was slow and tedious, I have managed to gain 10 kilograms. This was an important milestone in my self-confidence journey, which encouraged me to further improve myself. I am seeing the difference in my body, which has led me to gain more morale. I do not intend to stop now and will continue my exertion of pride and determination. Thank you.
Thank you, Arnav. Good luck and wonderful to have you doing well. Keep it up. Keep it up. We now have our last speaker, very, very charming and confident Pavni. Pavni, you're on next.
Hello, everyone. I hope you're having a great day. I am Pavni Grover and am I audible? Sorry.
Yes.
Great, sorry. Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Pavni Grover and I'm here to talk to you about my journey with self-confidence. So self-confidence, huh? I strongly believe that it's not something that you're born with. It's just something that's self-taught or something that you acquire along the way. But when I look back at my life, and wow, I feel like an 80-year-old grandmother saying that. But when I look back, it seems like I was born with it. So as a young kid, my parents pushed me to do everything, from singing to dancing to painting to acting and so much more that I can't even remember right now. My dad even pushed me to order at restaurants from a very young age. And even though it was so annoying at the time, little did I know that all these things were slowly shaping me into becoming the person that I have become today. All these little things my parents pushed me to do actually helped me boost up or build my self-confidence. And I loved being confident. But it was very soon that I realized that not everyone in the world was fond of the fact that a little girl was so confident. In grade 5, I was bullied by a bunch of girls. They spread rumors about me and told everyone to stop talking to me. And sadly, that's what all my classmates did. I don't remember what they said or what they did, but I remember that it wasn't a very good feeling. Walking alone in the school corridor or having lunch alone during lunch breaks wasn't very easy for my 10-year-old self. But she felt so powerless to stand up for herself, so she just simply accepted her fate. I remember I used to cry every single day after coming home, and my mom used to console me every day. She just said good things to make me feel good about myself, to give me energy to wake up every single day to go to school. Because to be honest, I hated going to school at the time. But somehow, my mom and her consoling powers got me through the year. Now let's forward to grade 11. In grade 11, I started my own YouTube channel, and I was so proud of it. But a lot of people in my class found my content cringy or not good enough. And they made sure that they told me how they felt about it. But I didn't really care. To be honest, I actually cared a lot about their snarky remarks. But I just pretended that I didn't care enough. The classic fake it till you make it strategy. I used to cry about how snarky and mean their comments were in the school bathroom, but I came back to my class as if nothing had happened. But I never really stood up for myself, you know. So this one fine day, this guy from my class was saying stuff like, "Oh my God, your YouTube channel is so stupid and cringy," and stuff like that. And I was probably having a bad day on that particular day. Unfortunately for him, I don't know what it was. It was probably the pressure of my 12th grade calculus. But I think that was the first time I actually stood up for myself, you know. I asked him directly, like, why do you care? What's your problem? And boom, magic. I think after that day, he never actually said anything to me about my channel. Not to my face, at least. And when I look back at all this, all these incidents, they seem so tiny and frivolous. But to be very honest, these are all the things that have shaped me into becoming who I am today. It has helped me accept that not everyone in the world is going to like me. Not everyone is going to appreciate the things that I do. But it's important for me to be in sync with my emotions, to focus on the person that I am becoming, and to feel good about what I am doing and appreciating myself. Because your perception of yourself, of the world, is your reality. Treat yourself the way you would treat someone you love. Also, now when people don't like me being gutsy and opinionated, I try to do that more often because it takes courage to be courageous. Overcoming bullies also helped me fight my own fears. So, am I a confident person? Yes. But do I get nervous? Also, yes. In fact, I'm a little nervous right now. My hands are shaking a little bit. But that's okay. Confidence does not mean being fearless. For me, it means the ability to face my fears. Actually, confidence to me is to be stupid enough to walk into a big fancy event in a tracksuit. For you, it can mean whatever you want it to mean. We don't have to stick to Wikipedia definitions of it. So go out there, embrace your confident, sometimes nervous selves. More power to you. Thank you.
Pavni, thank you so much. That was wonderful. Now, speaking to us on Love Yourself is a very special doctor who is what she's saying, talking about. She loves herself and she loves a lot of other people too. She's Dr. Sanju Gambhir, is working at the Primus Hospital. She is also got a very effective and good YouTube channel, Doc? Yes?
Yes.
But she's a trainer for the Indian Army. She is also a motivational speaker for the Taj Group of Hotels, for the Coca-Cola Company, and the very, very fancy Rolls-Royce Company too. So we are lucky to have with us today Dr. Sanju Gambhir on Love Yourself.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sanaya. It's a pleasure to be here with all of you. And can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. So it was wonderful listening to all the young speakers and then the speakers from the Madhyam group and then to Dr. Moses. Everyone was really impressive. And now that I have to speak about loving yourself, I think everyone has spoken a lot, but there are a few tips that I would like to give. There is one person with whom we are 24/7, thick and thin. This is the person who we know best. This is the person who is most important to us. And we share a very, very intense and beautiful relationship with this person. And that is we ourselves. So when I talk about loving ourselves, the first thing I wish to say is know yourself. Know who you are. Know what are your beliefs in life. Know your values in life. Know what it is that you like. Don't just let others decide for you. You should be the one who should take decisions for yourself. And that you would only be able to do when you know what you want in life. Apart from this, we all should, tell the world or let people around us know that they cannot overstep or cross boundaries with us, which just means when the time comes to say no, we should be loud and clear. And we should say it with an emphasis so that the other person understands that we are not happy with whatever they are saying, doing, or asking us to do for them. Never ever make the mistake of comparing yourself with anyone. You are a unique masterpiece. There's no one in this world like you. So whenever you look at yourself in the mirror, make sure, stand in front of it, look into the mirror, literally with your eyes, looking into your eyes, tell yourself, I love you. Do this. It'll actually empower you. You will feel wonderful just doing this little action. Know your strengths. Know your strengths and your weaknesses. We all have our strengths, but unfortunately, what do? We focus on our weaknesses. We focus on what is wrong. Why not work on our strengths? Work on our weaknesses as well. But why not help people with, who don't have the strengths that we have? Why not improve and be a better person? And that will only happen when we don't just look at what is wrong with us. Each one of us, as I said, is unique and a masterpiece. So why not be good with yourself? We are always good to the world, but we forget being good to ourselves. We don't treat ourselves well. Yes, that's one mistake we do. There's a negative chatter that goes on in our mind that, despite all the good that's going on in our world, we are talking to ourselves, not listening to others. And we are telling ourselves how incapable we are or what we cannot do. That is where our confidence and our self-esteem starts going down in life. And this is what we are talking about. Let's be honest to ourselves. Now that is so important. Unfortunately, we tell lies and those lies come out so easily. When we were kids, from that very time when our parents asked us whether we were watching TV, if they were not in the room, the first answer is, no, I wasn't doing that. Yeah. To anything, smallest of small things, we started telling lies, not realizing that those very lies became a habit. And then we started lying to ourselves. We started telling things to ourselves which we weren't doing. And then we started doing that with the world. And it became a habit where we just lost our own identity. So be honest with yourself. Your relationship with yourself is most important, and that will only happen when you are honest with yourself. Take responsibility for every action. And not only do you need to take responsibility, be accountable for everything that you do. Don't play the blame game. We love to complain, we love to crib. But why not look at our faults also and accept where we are going wrong? So let us accept our faults as well. Let us accept our emotions as well. If someone is saying something to us which we don't like, we don't need to collect that garbage in us. We don't need to use our brains, our mind as a dustbin. Unfortunately, that's what we all do. We all carry on with that garbage in our head, and wherever we go, we keep stinking. We are not present to the present because of those very thoughts, those very things that we have filled our mind up with. So when someone says something to us, just look at them and in your mind, tell yourself, I accept I am hurting. I accept I find this talk very insulting, but I choose to forgive you. I forgive you because my peace of mind is most important. So you don't have to go catch hold of the person and say, I forgive you. Do it in your mind. Make peace with yourself. And that's how you will grow. Another thing which is very, very important is never ever be harsh with yourself. Unfortunately, we are harsh with ourselves. We tell ourselves lots of stories which pull us down in life. And as I said earlier, we look at our weaknesses. It's okay to be imperfect. Nobody in this world is perfect. We all are beautiful with our imperfections. So accept yourself the way you are. Have fun in life. Why not enjoy? We go out with friends. Have you ever gone out with yourself for a date? Have you ever tried that? It is so important. Go out for a spa. Have a healthy meal sometimes. Go to a restaurant. Just try it. Be with yourself. You will love it, your own company. If you enjoy it, trust me, everyone else will enjoy it. But if you are bored with yourself, how can you expect the world to enjoy your company? So first and foremost, love yourself. And that will only happen when you start going out with your own self. One very, very important thing which I practice on a daily basis, and that is living in gratitude. Are you living in gratitude? I start my day on a daily basis with gratitude. The moment I open my eyes, the first thing I tell myself, thank you for this beautiful day. And I jump out of bed. I'm so eager to face the new day. I'm so happy that I'm alive, that I have another day to live, another day to do something, not only for myself, but for people around me. Being alive is in itself a big thing. I didn't die in my sleep. Why not thank our body as well? We all have a wonderful body, but we look at the flaws. Why look at the flaws? Why not thank each and every part that we have? For the legs that support us, that carry our weight, that take us around. Now, if I start talking about all the body parts, it'll go on and on and on. So there's so many things that we can be grateful for. And if you start practicing gratitude from morning to evening, start your day with gratitude, end it with gratitude. Believe you me, your day would be amazing. I do that. Write down your successes. We all do well, but unfortunately, we don't pen them down. Write those successful things in life and read them when you're feeling low. They will pep you up. You will feel so good about your own self. You don't need the world to come and say good things to you. Don't expect from people, because expectations are never ever fulfilled. Start living in acceptance. So accept whatever they are saying. Do not expect from them, because those will be, all expectations only give pain. Apart from that, take care of your body. I don't know how much water you all drink, but I hydrate myself well. And that means we all should drink normal water, or maybe lukewarm water. Please keep yourself away from cold water, even during the summers. It's bad for your health. As a doctor, I can tell you that. Yeah. Have healthy food, do regular exercises, but smile a lot. This is the most important exercise. Have a smile on your face. It'll not only keep you energized, but it'll keep everyone around you also feeling so good, because when you smile, they are also going to smile back at you. Last but not the least, write yourself a love letter. Now, this is so important. We write love letters to our, partners, and we feel good about writing, those letters. Why not write it to yourself? You are the most lovable person. Love yourself and write those amazing things about yourself and feel so good about it, which means be kind to yourself and stay away from people who are toxic. Listen to them, just allow it to pass through. Don't hold on to what they are saying about you, right? So have, just if you practice all these things, you will realize your life will become so amazingly good. There is so much more I can talk, but of course, due to the constraint of time, I prefer to end here. And I thank all of you for having me here on this forum today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Sanju Gambhir. That was very good.
Thank you.
Charu?
Before Charu goes on, I'll just introduce one more speaker who is here. Walter Christman has joined. He is the president of the Global Challenges Forum. Walter, we welcome you amidst us. He is joining us from Saudi Arabia. He is a person from US, but today he is joining us from Saudi Arabia. Would you like to say?
I'd like to thank Sanaya and you and all the organizers of the event.
How kind.
Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, we can hear you.
Yes, I'd like to thank Sanaya and you and all the organizers of the idea of confidence is pretty important when facing the first emerging out of it. By 2030, half the world's population will be under the age of 25, and youth of today, they're not the future, they're the present. And so being able to share the strengths and encouragement of each other moving forward is really important. So this is a great moment in fulfilling the Delhi Proclamation and the launch of this event. We're looking forward to your event in October when you bring this all together in real as well as virtual form. So thank you so much for this such an encouraging event and well organized and very much appreciated. Look forward to seeing the next event.
Thank you, Dr. Walter, for joining. Thank you very much.
All right. I have just put a small Google form in the chat box. I'll request each and every one of you to go through that, because as a part of this 1 million youth leaders in the next decade, we want many youth leaders to come together. So Global Challenges Forum Youth Leaders Group, we would like you to be part of it. So there's a Google form available. Please go through it, fill it up before you leave this Zoom meeting. Thank you so much. Now over to Dr. Sanaya and other team members.
Thank you. We'll end our session by very briefly summing up. We've all heard this from the beginning to the end. Thank you, Dr. Walter, for joining us. It's so nice to have you there with us, Dr. Christman. Well, I'll sum up by saying we started with Bangalore with a very young speaker from Bangalore, Kyra, and then we moved to Visakhapatnam, where there were school children talking to us about self-confidence and self-esteem and FOMO. When they spoke to us, we had the Peer Mediation Youth Forum from Madhyam tell us how to communicate effectively, because that's a very important part of building up your self-confidence. Once the Youth Forum Madhyam completed their thing, we moved further up north. We are an All India seminar, youth seminar. We moved further up north to the NCR, and we had young children, school kids, and 1 or 2 working people from the NCR speak to us, with Dr. Moses giving us a very brief but very, very fascinating talk about the alpha kids and the millennial kids. And we ended with Dr. Sanju Gambhir very correctly telling us, love yourself. The most important thing you can do to build up self-confidence and to build up self-esteem. She's very pithily set out 5-7 things and points on how to love yourself. Thank you. Thank you, all of you. I think I will hand it over now to my friend Gurit Sethi. Gurit.
Thank you, Dr. Sanaya. So I think on this very splendid note, we come to the end of the session with a very beautiful reminder that we all need to love ourselves. Thanks to all the speakers, the young speakers especially, who came forward to share their experience. And especially thanks to all the attendees who have taken out time to spend on this very critical aspect of life. And also because it so shapes how we come across and reach out to the world and, you know, end up shaping our whole lives ahead of us. So on this note, thank you organizers, thank you GCF, thank you all the hosts, thank you all the speakers. So hope to see you soon again on our next, we'll keep you posted. Thank you.